Hi everybody, welcome to part 2 of what if Heather decided to recruit Noah instead of Lindsay. So in this timeline, instead of Lindsay, we might just have Tyler. In this case, we have Noah replacing LaShawna. And there's not really any other changes besides that, and Courtney's here replacing Courtney's just replacing DJ, I guess. So yeah, I welcome you back to another video, and today I'll be focusing on the merge. If you haven't seen the previous video, make sure you should like and subscribe because I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before June. So it'll be very helpful if you do that. We're gonna first talk about No Pain, No Gain. So No Pain, No Gain, the episode opens with the remaining female campers relaxing on the shore. Well, female contestants and Noah relaxing on the shore of the lake. Despite their calm demeanor, there is clearly an air of suspicious and animosity between them, mostly due to losing the challenge to the boys. A fly lands on Heather's nose, but Noah manages to smack it off her with a magazine he was reading before he can swat it away, causing Heather to thank Noah. Okay. Suddenly, a yacht horn sounds over Heather's insult, followed by Heather covering her mouth. The male campers are seen returning on a yacht, dancing happily as they return from their time at the five-star spa resort. As the boys slide onto the dock, they talk about the luxurious treatment they received, much to girls' jealousy. Courtney says, "Psst, those should have been my alligator elbows getting the hand and foot treatment." Owen offers the girls a plate of chocolate-covered cherry blossoms, but in a fit of rage, Courtney throws her right sandal at the plate, knocking it out of Owen's hands and into the pool, causing Owen to become upset. Jeff comforts him by pointing out that the ladies are just a bit jealous. Duncan then chimes in, and then also Noah, saying that the boys get along so well while the girls are all suspicious and mutinous, and that guys rule. Moments later, Chris announces over the loudspeaker that from now on, the teams will be disbanded and each camper will be on their own. Suddenly, the guys have no problem being against each other. Chris isn't done with the surprises though, and the former Killer Bass member, Eva, returns to the island moments later, with dramatic music playing and a huge wall of fire blazing behind her. Eva states that she will be paying close attention to the former Killer Bass team, who voted her out of the competition earlier. Gwen wonders aloud why Eva returned after Chris repeatedly stated that once a camper is voted out, they won't be allowed to return. Chris replies that he lied, and Noah warns Gwen not to discuss the matter any further. Since Bridget is the last former female Killer Bass member left in the competition, and no one suggested she get anger management, she soon discovers that she is an object of Eva's intention and needs for revenge. And so Courtney's here. This is the Courtney. Eva's gonna be also super mad at Courtney for voting her off because she's here instead of having her eliminated in basics training. And I guess she's also mad at Tyler, Duncan, and Jeff for being on Killer Bass, and Izzy as well, since she was on Killer Bass instead of on the Screen Gophers. So yeah, um, Chris then greets the second returning camper. Izzy, a former Killer Bass member as well, who swings in on the jungle vine. Izzy says that she never left the island, that she hid from the RCMP in the forest and took refuge in a beaver dam. Chris instructs that the campers to gather in the amphitheater for the next challenge. Owen is excited and asks Duncan for a high five, but Duncan tells him that Chris said it's every camper for themselves. Owen sighs and walks to Noah as he watches the yacht leave. So, Eva enters the girls' cabin, and the girls are all startled by her presence. When Eva asks about the duct tape on the floor, Heather says Heather just rolls up and brushes it off. Bridget and Eva get into an argument about sleeping arrangements, but Courtney soon intervenes, much to Bridget's relief. Eva then continues to call her Shauna Thunder, Courtney Thunderfies, which angers Courtney, who calls Eva a macho mama with butt cheeks tighter than my weave. Gwen intervenes by calling them out, and Noah suggests that they chat about it over outside with low-calorie snacks. Eva then finally gives in, Al bent bitterly, and declares that she will win anyway. Bridget then thanks Noah for filling her in, and Noah smiles and says it's his pleasure. Noah says, well, it's Courtney saying this, that girl is getting on my last nerve. Later, the campers are seated in the Mediterranean panel area in the amphitheater, and Chris explains that the next competition will be a torture game called Say Uncle. Any camper who refuses the challenge or fails to compete in the alone 10 seconds will be disqualified, and the winner will receive invincibility and a luxury trailer. After introducing a mouse-wearing chef and his assistant, Chris spins the wheel of misfortune for Duncan's challenge. For Duncan's challenge, it's Turtle Pug Shots challenge. Duncan is forced to stand up in front of a hockey net while Chef fires grumpy snapping turtles at him. One turtle bites him in the groin when he is unprotected. Duncan groans. Courtney comes over to him and hugs him because they're dating, remember? And Chris provokes him by asking him if he's having fun, to which Duncan sarcastically replies, it's a riot. Trent tries to talk to Gwen, telling her that Duncan's part of the challenge was tough. But she tells him not to, leading Trent to wonder if she's still upset about the burying her alive incident in Phobia Factor. Trent gets back on Gwen's good side, but telling her that if he had a chance, she'd be the last person he'd bury alive, which Gwen thinks is sweet. Noah's challenge is marshmallow waxing, which requires him to endure 10 seconds of excruciating pain as Chef impales melted marshmallows mixture to his face, sorry. He succeeds and is pleased by how the marshmallows tasted. Trent tells Gwen that the marshmallow wax would have been painful, and he doubts that he would have gone through it. Gwen explains that this is because men are weak in two areas, but it makes no sense her saying that since it's Noah doing it. Noah gets to pick who goes next because she didn't complain during the challenge. So Noah would pick Trent for the next challenge because actually he would choose Eva. He would choose Eva just to piss her off. So Courtney says in confessional, even though we all wanted Eva off of the island, for some reason that girl was gunning for Bridget. I felt bad and all, but hey, better her than me. So, Eva's challenge is the power of leeches. She fails the challenge, and because of this, she runs off, and Chef gets her, and she's eliminated. I'm doing the same timeline, but it's way more different. So, yeah, Eva is the first one eliminated in the merge. Poor girl. It's fine. Next, we have Search and Do Not Destroy. Okay, first things first. In the night after Eva is eliminated, Heather goes to find Noah and Owen. So, they chat about who they're gonna eliminate after Eva. Noah says Courtney since she's a very strong player. But Heather says like Trent, and Owen says that can we get Izzy into the alliance? Heather says, well, better than nothing. Noah goes find Izzy, who is swinging across the vine, and asks Izzy if she wants to be in an alliance with me, Heather, and Owen. Izzy accepts this because she's really good friends with Owen and Heather, so she's joined the alliance and she comes over to them. Um, Trent, Tyler, Duncan, and Jeff are hanging out, and Courtney, Bridget, and Gwen are talking to each other. Gwen says, so Eva, huh? First one eliminated. Funny, huh? Courtney says, well, it does make sense. She's a very strong player. But who do you think the guys are gonna vote off? Gwen says most likely someone weak like Noah. Bridget says maybe Noah wins immunity and they have to vote off someone like Owen. Courtney says, well, should we vote for someone like Tyler? Gwen says that does make sense since he did lose his girlfriend in a couple episodes ago. Courtney says, if I didn't say longer than it was I guess Heather did, I wouldn't get myself eliminated. But I survived more than Heather, got immunity for the team, and I'm awesome like that. Wednesday's okay. Okay, that's fine. Um then in the morning, it's actually the Search and Do Not Destroy challenge. So, in Search and Do Not Destroy, the episode begins with a squirrel walking up in its home in a tree. It takes a sip of coffee before the camera pans down to Courtney leaving her trainer because she got immunity in the previous round after a good night's sleep. Meanwhile, Gwen and Trent are hanging out together on the dock. Gwen is sitting by a tree, drawing a picture of him. Trent, who just climbed out of the water and onto the dock after a swim, asks Gwen what she's drawing. Calling her beautiful, she replies. Nothing. She replies with nothing, and shyly hides a sketch pad from him. A hidden camera reveals that the drawing is a sketch of a shirtless Trent. Gwen in the confessional says, I absolutely, positively don't have a crush on Trent. I'm so over it. I mean, come on. Sure, for a week or two, I was into him, but I mean... The scene cuts to Chris in a pirate costume, firing a cannon, then quickly covering his ears. The cannonball hits Courtney's trailer and destroys it, much to her surprise and disappointment. He then announces, in a stereotypical pirate accent, that the old campers must report to the amphitheater for the next challenge. The campers enter the amphitheater, including Courtney, dragging her carried luggage behind her. Chris, still in the pirate costume and accent, begins to describe the challenge, saying it will be a good old-fashioned treasure hunt. Gwen groans at the idea, while Chris continues. He explains that the treasure hunt has a twist. In that what they are looking for is not hidden, and it is not treasure, prompting Duncan to ask why is he dressed as a pirate if there is no treasure. Chris tells him that he asked a good question, and then explains that they will be looking for keys to treasure chest containing prizes. Chef holds out a bucket and invites them to take clues from it. The campers do so, while Chris explains that the clues that they choose will have drawing that will give them a clue as where their key is hidden in the camp. Owen reveals that he might pick the clue with a picture of a bear, something he is very extremely imitated by. Chris interjects by saying that he was hoping Owen would get that clue. Chris then looks at Heather's clue, which is of Chef's refrigerator. So Heather tells Noah to come with him since his clue is also Chef's refrigerator, and they go together. And when they reach Chef's refrigerator, Heather goes as like a ploy as Noah goes in and opens it and gets the immunity thing. So Heather and Heather's not immune this time. It would be Noah who's going to be immune in this timeline. So yeah, who would be saying that? Okay, so like the elimination ceremony will happen, and Noah says they have to eliminate one of the boys because they could eliminate Heather. I wouldn't say it's Tyler, and Heather knows how to get Tyler out. Um, well, Heather says, "Why not Jeff? We can split up a couple." Owen say, as he says, "What about Trent? You could split Trent and Gwen up." Heather says, "Nah, since they actually could just get back together so quickly." So Heather goes up to Jeff and gets him to the dock, and Heather says how Bridget's bullying her in the cabins without him knowing, and Jeff says, "Oh, I feel bad for you. I'm so sorry." Heather then pretendly kisses Jeff, which gets Bridget's eye, Courtney's eye, Gwen's eye, and then the boys see it as well, and they think Jeff needs to go now since he is literally kissing an enemy. So, instead of Trent going this time, it would be Jeff going out on this episode. I'm sorry, Jeff fans. He's not gonna win Ireland. This leads to hide and be sneaky. So in this episode, the episode opens with Noah enjoying a great-tastic pop. She got the award from Heather in the previous episode. Well, he got it. So Noah and Heather are just chatting because they're kind of just bored and happy about what happened doing getting Jeff out. Heather says, "Wasn't that kind of weird? Me kissing Jeff," and Noah said, "You can do well. You can literally trick anyone by getting them eliminated." Heather says thanks, and she says, "Well, who do you think's going out next?" Noah thinks that it's finally time to say goodbye to Courtney, and Heather kind of agrees to this, but also says, "What about Tyler? Tyler's pretty much a nobody on the other side, on our like merged team." Noah says, "Yeah, sure, we can get Tyler out easily. We know how to get him out by getting him to kiss Courtney." "That would be funny," Noah said. Heather says that's kind of perfect, but how can we make this happen? At this moment, Owen and Izzy are making out in the cabin, and Heather and Noah just notice what's happening, and they're like, Owen, Izzy, what happened between you last night? Oh, we just talked so much, and then we started making out for the last couple of hours. The other two were just like, okay, and they just walk off and continue just chatting. They're not. Oh, I'm not gonna do what I did before and make Noah and Heather a couple. They're just gonna be great best friends in the case to make more sense. It's all mutual. So, Chris announces it'll be a hide and seek challenge, and um, so yeah, I think I'll just put everyone in here if they're found. I think Noah and Heather was just hide together because they're best friends, and Noah says hide out. We gotta hide at the top of the tree. Heather pushes Noah up to the top of the tree, and Heather follows suit. Owen is an easy caught out, and I think he's the first one going out in this case. Like, he's not going out in this episode, he's just the first one caught, followed by Izzy, I think. They would still have their fight, and then she gets shot by one of the paintballs. Then I think Bridget would get shot in this case, followed by Tyler, followed by Duncan and Trent, and then Gwen, and then I think Heather would sacrifice. I think Noah would sacrifice Heather's his own immune. Okay, so these three get immunity pretty much. So yeah, um, we could just put it as that. So yeah, um, so Heather goes to find Gwen and Courtney and says that Tyler is actually planning to vote off Courtney, but my vote's on Tyler, and these two oblige. So it would be more like a 6-4 vote, and Tyler is gone. Sorry, Tyler, you made it the best you could. This leads to That's Off the Chain. So That's Off the Chain. So the episode starts the day after Tyler's elimination. The remaining campers hanging out by Lake Aqua, relaxing and throwing a frisbee around. Well, Heather and Noah are lounging at the dock when a fly hovers over Noah and Heather. Noah tries to hit it with a fly swapper. When the fly lands on Heather's face, Heather just Noah just gives Heather the swap and gets the fly off her. Then Heather asks Noah for the okay, he goes okay, which particularly disturbing. Meanwhile, Bridget is heard in the confessional crying about Jeff, and the boys go check on her. Gwen notices this and asks aloud where Duncan started having feelings for Courtney. Heather replies that it's all because of his guy's alliance, knowing that Duncan is no fool of his guy's alliance. That Duncan is no fool and needs Bridget's vote to be in the game. Noah then suggests to Heather that that maybe we can literally take Bridget's sadness to a new leaf and get her eliminated because of her sadness, because of Jeff. And Heather thinks this is a good idea. Bridget says, singing quietly, "Baby, come back. Any one kind of a fool could see something about you. Hey Jeff, sending out much your love to you. Whenever is that but the boat of losers takes you." Okay. Duncan, Trent, I guess Duncan, Trent, and Owen comfort Bridget and try to make sure she stays in their alliance. But Bridget is still sad about Jeff's elimination, as he seems unsure about his role in her role in the alliance. Bridget suddenly smells bacon and realizes that she might have missed breakfast as Bridget runs off. Duncan remarks that he thinks Bridget is still in the alliance. Chris gives the campers an old manual to help them build their bikes. So I think Noah makes the best bike, and Heather makes a replica of it, and Noah helps her with it. Owen makes a good bike with Noah's help. Izzy makes a good bike with Owen and Noah's help. Courtney makes a good bike of her own, and Gwen makes her own bike. Bridget makes a good bike, which is like Sadness Without Jeff. Duncan makes an okay bike, and Trent makes an absolutely bad bike. So I think Noah would get Courtney's bike. I think Heather would get Owen's bike. I think Izzy would get Heather's bike. Gwen would get Izzy's bike. Bridget would get Gwen's bike. Duncan would get Trent's bike, and Trent would get Duncan's bike. So because of this, Duncan's kind of worried that he could get himself eliminated because of this. So he tries his best to get to the end as fast as possible, but he kind of forgets about all the things, but suddenly just makes it first place. And then Noah, Heather, Owen, and Izzy come second, third, fourth, and fifth. Gwen and Courtney come sixth and seventh. Trent comes eighth, and Bridget comes ninth. Wait. Okay, yeah. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. Bridget comes ninth, and I think they have to go into a second round with these four facing off. So Courtney would come first in the race, followed by Trent and Gwen, and then Bridget makes a whole May Courtney and swears the hell out of Noah and Heather, saying that they're a dastardly duo and should be stopped. But then Chris announces that Bridget, you are eliminated, and Bridget is gone in this case, which makes Gwen and Courtney kind of sad, and Heather and Noah kind of happy since they've actually lost the vote against each other. So yeah, next is Hook, Line, and Screamer. So in Hook, Line, and Screamer, the episode begins with the remaining campers: Owen, Izzy, Courtney, Gwen, Trent, Duncan, and Noah. And Heather, of course. Watching a scary movie in which a man terrorizes his victims with a chainsaw and a hook. Duncan, Gwen, and Izzy are the ones who enjoy the movie. Well, Courtney's kind of terrified and hugging onto Duncan. After the movie, Izzy says that she loves scary movies and jumps onto Owen's arms, prompting both Duncan and Courtney to give Owen a thumbs up for having Izzy in her arms. Duncan then pulls out a hook, scaring a already terrified Courtney even more. Courtney says in confessional, "Oh, come on, Duncan, that was not cool." Afterward, Duncan and Gwen share their love of horror movies, referring to scenes from their favorite movie, Bloodbath 2, Summer Camp, Reign of Terror. Trent comes over and says, "That's also my favorite film." And Gwen kind of blushes because it is his favorite film too. However, Heather is unimpressed by the mindless movie and wonders aloud what the next challenge would be. While Noah wonders where Chris is. Moments later, see Chris and Chef, with a frightened looks on their faces, get to the boat of losers with their luggage and hastily leave the island. Owen finds a bag left behind, along with a newspaper containing an article about an escaped psycho with a chainsaw and a hook. Courtney thinks it looks real, but Heather dismisses the whole thing as another stunt by Chris. Owen then points out that Chris forgot his hair gel in hurry to leave. Courtney is horrified by the situation, and Duncan makes it worse for her with the hook again. Courtney then gets the feeling that they are being watched, prompting Heather to remind him that they are on a reality show and that they are always being watched. Moments later, the scene cuts to Chris, who is watching the contestants for a number of monitors. Chris explains that tonight's show will be focused on the campers struggling to survive. The wrath of the killer with a chainsaw and a hook. Back on the island, Gwen says that they need a game plan to survive. But Heather says she's going to put on a face mask. Gwen disagrees with Heather's plan and says that the first rule of horror movies is never go alone. Heather says to Noah, Owen, and Izzy to follow her, and they just do that. So yeah, as Heather, Noah, Owen, and Izzy leaves, Gwen and Tren are playfully says that they're trying to stay together as always. So yeah. Izzy grabs Owen off the side and the two head into the woods together. Owen tells Izzy about the time he won a hot dog-a-thon when he ate 198 hot dogs, impressing Izzy. But after the story, Owen tries to remember why they shouldn't be in the woods. Back to the campsite, Gwen goes over the survival rules with them, such as not going alone, not going in the woods alone, and never making out in the woods, because they would die. Gwen asks where Owen and Izzy went, and Duncan replies that they broke rules 1 through 3. Owen falls off the cliff and follows. Back in the woods, Owen realizes that the couples making out are the first ones to be killed, but Izzy points out that they're not making out. However, in a spontaneously, Owen and Izzy jump into a nearby bushes and start making out, as a figure that looks like the escaped killer approaches the area. Moments later, the two run screaming from the area with the figure running after them. After a short chase, Owen falls off the edge of a cliff, hitting a goat, a fire hydrant, a cactus, a plunger that sets off explosives, and the campfire before hitting the ground. Izzy follows, making the same sound as she lands on Owen. Moments later, the killer approaches them, and Izzy stays with Owen towards the killer to save them. Owen flees and with Izzy, and moments later reaches the tent where Chris is watching what's going on. Chris explained that the killer is actually Chef in disguise, and that the main challenge is to survive. Izzy laughs at this on her way to Owen, saying that it was a good one. Owen laughs too, and they're like making out in the tent. So yeah, um. So Noah no, pretty much have Noah's outside the bathroom as Heather's shaving her legs, and Noah says, "Heather, we gotta get back to the others. The killer's outside." Heather gets her clothes back on, and they run over to Gwen, Chen, Courtney, and Duncan. But they say, "Where's Owen?" They say, "Where's Owen and Izzy?" Oh, they ran off into the woods. Sorry, I think they're eliminated. At the fireplace, as Gwen continues to go over the survival plan, showing the figures drawn on the chart, she notices that Courtney and Duncan are missing. As Trent says, they went to the washroom in the bathroom. Um, Courtney begs Duncan not to leave, no matter what, and Duncan agrees to stay. However, Duncan is lured away by the sound of an ice cream truck. I know it's stupid making what Jeff had before, but it can just do it. Courtesy of Chris. And Courtney takes a dump. And Chef gets to her and gets her eliminated. So far, who's been eliminated is Owen, Izzy, Courtney, and Duncan. So this leaves Noah, Heather, Gwen, and Trent. Gwen enters the bathroom through the hole, and through it, and sees that Courtney and Duncan are gone. And Trent has to follow her, but then Trent gets covered in his mouth, saying, Gwen! 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 And he gets himself eliminated by this. Then I think, as the campfire, Gwen asks where Heather's gone, and Noah, replies that she went to Chef's kitchen to get some food. Gwen says, doesn't anyone listen to me? Gwen crosses out that figure on the Heather's figure on the chart in the kitchen. Heather reaches for a plate of brownies when she hears her name whispered, followed by the killer's appearance. Heather talks tough at first, but eventually runs away and ends up in the tent with Chris and the other eliminated players. So this leads to Chris saying that Noah and Gwen get immunity in this challenge. So yeah, I think in the pact, Gwen, Courtney, Duncan, and Trent all just vote off Owen, and I think Noah, Heather, Owen would vote for Courtney. I think Izzy would vote for Duncan. So sadly, it would be really sad seeing this happen. Owen, you are 8th place. I'm sad to say this. I'm sorry, Owen. So this will lead to Aqua gone wild. So yeah. So in Aqua gone wild, the episode begins with the 7 remaining campers walking through the camp. Owen, well, it's not really Owen, it's Izzy crying the hell out because she should have voted to get Courtney out. Owen might have won the tiebreaker challenge. And yeah. So yeah. In the main lodge, the campers are served paste, with Chris congratulating them on becoming the final 7 campers remaining. Duncan says in confessional, "What are my chances of winning? I said I'm pretty darn great because anyone who doesn't vote for me is a dead man or woman. Are you listening to me out there? All of you who have been kicked off, if you don't vote for me, I'll find you." Courtney stays in confessional. "I'm so happy. The final 7 and I'm all the way. Woohoo! I think I got the shot at winning. Heck, I've won Student Council President 2 years running. And I gave great speeches. I can do this. Woohoo! And then, it would be Noah who'd be saying this. "I can't believe it. I'm in the final 7. Can't you imagine me winning?" That who would be awesome? Woohoo! Everyone else here totally deserves it more than me. Well, I do, except for Gwen or Courtney. They're just very annoying. I'm not afraid of them. Interrupted by Heather. "Just about done." Sorry, drink break. Chris explains the next challenge: catching a wild animal in bringing it back to camp unharmed. After a quick lesson on the rangers and game wardens, they are told the prize for winning a meal of their favorite foods. The campers meet at the boathouse to draw for their animal assignments. Courtney gets a chipmunk. Noah draws a frog. Duncan picks a raccoon. Gwen ends up with a duck. Trent gets a beaver. Izzy gets a deer, which she's excited about. And Heather gets a bear, much to her disappointment, declaring the challenge impossible. Heather almost quits until Chris tells her the punishment for failing the challenge. cleaning up the communal bathrooms, which are a mess thanks to Owen's overindulgence of it from last night. Heather reluctantly agrees to take the challenge. The campers have 60 seconds in the boathouse to collect anything useful to catching their respective animals. Noah, Heather, and Izzy work together. Gwen and Duncan work together, and of course, Gwen and Trent work together in the case. So yeah. Well, Trent looks in a box and throws away things he finds useless. Noah tries to use brute force to crack a shark's jawbone. Heather, confused, holds a rubber chicken while Gwen finds a net, which Heather sees and tries to steal it from her. Izzy is seen carrying a rope with a hook. Courtney holds a life float as the camera pans. Duncan is seen with an oar, which he throws away as he finds a sledgehammer, which Gwen and Heather ask him, "Is it useful for a raccoon?" And he agrees as he holds a chainsaw. Izzy finds paper towels while Noah has a burlap bag. Before Chris tells them they have 10 seconds left, Izzy considers the stacked boxes and a barrel in front of her and decides to take them all, which Duncan questions if it's legal. Heather and Gwen argue over the net until Gwen spots some duct bait, so Gwen lets go of the net, causing Heather to fall into the bucket. She thinks Heather still tries to reach Gwen, but ends up failing herself. Who would be saying this? Okay, Gwen is saying, "I don't know. I guess I have a chance. Let's put it this way. If I didn't think I could win, do you really think I would be in this dump? Putting up with the revolting food, giant bugs, and the cameras in your face all day is one thing. But Heather, only $100,000 could make me live with her. Plus, it's cool still having Trent here." Okay, who is saying this? Heather is saying, "I sure I'm the most favourite to win. I mean, look who's left. Weird Golf Girl, a criminal, Nutso, Golf Girl's boyfriend, and my best friend Noah, and Courtney. And the only thing she has going for her is that she hasn't made any enemies. Whoop-de-doo! We're not here to make friends, we're here to win. And that's exactly what I plan on doing with Noah." Heather still thinks she has no chance of catching a bear, and desperately looks through Izzy's crates until she finds a tranquilizing gun. Chris tells them it's game on, and everyone but Duncan and Heather run off. Duncan says in confessional, "See? Now Heather! She was my competition. And as much as I made what made me wanna hurl, I knew I had to get her on my good side." Knowing Heather is a serious competition, Duncan approaches her and offers her help out in exchange for an alliance to get her to the final two. Heather declines the offer because she's going to deal with Noah. But Duncan figures she'll be back. Then, out in the woods, Gwen lays a pile of duck bait to lure Duck to her. So I don't talk forever. Most likely, Courtney would catch her thing first, followed by Noah, then Heather, then Duncan, then Izzy, Then Gwen and then Trent has to clean the communal bathrooms. The triangulation dunk with Izzy won't happen, so but I think the easiest way to do it is Courtney, Duncan, Gwen, and Trent voting for Izzy. Then then Noah would switch up the votes, making it being Duncan who's going home. So Duncan gets the hurl of shame in this case. Sorry, Duncan. Okay, I know there's only two boys here, but I kind of know how to switch this up. So we have Trial by Tri-Arm Triathlon. The episode begins 3 days after the previous challenge, with a crying Courtney having a sadness moment of depression since Duncan was eliminated. Gwen comforts her. They are awakened by the sound of Izzy have a yelling at a passing helicopter to keep its noise down. Noah thinks about winning, of course. So Chris announces that it will be three teams of two working together. So I think it'll be Noah working with Gwen, Heather working with Courtney, and Izzy and Trent working together. So yeah. He mentions the eliminated contestants in order in which they were eliminated. DJ, Eva, Beth, Justin, Sadie, Cody, Izzy, Harold, Ezekiel, Katie, Lindsay, Shauna, Eva again, Jeff, Tyler, Bridget, Owen, and Duncan. When he lands, he announces the next challenge will be a tri-arm triathlon. So I don't talk forever about this. Let's just say, Heather and Courtney come first, followed by Noah and Gwen. So these four get beauty, so it's between Izzy and Trent. So Heather tells Noah that Izzy's no use to them anymore. So I think Noah would convince Gwen to vote off Izzy, which she gladly does that. And Izzy is so confused. Noah says it's the better off, plus you can be with Owen now. And Izzy sighs, going to the dock of shame. So Izzy is eliminated. So yeah, we have we have our final five contestants in Heather, Noah, Courtney, Gwen, and Trent. So yeah. So we have Haunt Capture. So I'm going to talk about my own events here, since because three out the five people are not actually here and already eliminated. So yeah. So Izzy and Owen are making out. So is Tyler and Lindsay. So is also Jeff and Bridget. Eva's being an annoyance. Ezekiel's just having fun, and Katie's actually fallen in love with Ezekiel, which is kind of weird because it kind of makes sense since he's been here for long. He's actually been on for longer, so Katie might have had a soft side on Ezekiel. So yeah, Harold is trying to flirt with Lashawna, but Lashawna denies the relationship. So yeah, Cody and Justin and DJ hanging out. Beth and Sadie are hanging out as well. And Jeff and I guess Duncan is just annoyed that he ain't in the final five because of stupid Noah. And picks on Harold, of course. So yeah. So this is when the campers tell. Well, this is when uh Quest tells about the challenge that you will be choosing one person to come back here. And DJ starts the conversation and says, Courtney. Courtney's pretty fun, and plus Duncan needs Courtney. Then Beth says Courtney, then Justin says Courtney, then Sadie says Courtney, then Cody says Courtney, Howard says Gwen, Ezekiel says Trent, Courtney, Noah, Heather, Noah, Courtney, 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 and Courtney. So sad to say this, most votes will go on to Courtney, and Courtney is eliminated. Wow, a weird final four. So yeah, that is funny. Heather, Noah, Gwen, and Trent being the final four. Ain't that kind of funny? So because of this, because Owen isn't here and he's not gonna go insane, I think it might go Trent who'd be the one who gets Mr. Coconut in this timeline. So yeah. So let's talk about Camp Castaways. It'll be very quick me talking about this because it is a filler episode pretty much. We could say that. We could call it a filler episode. So after a huge flood, the campers float away to a deserted island and try to fend for themselves while dealing with the dangers there, as well as enduring each other. Meanwhile, the hosts start having a day of relaxation on the same island, while the final four are separated first. They eventually wind up together, and after Trent's mental breakdown, an inanimate object is eliminated. So Trent will hold Mr. Coconut. So yeah, no one is eliminated, of course, in Camp Castaways. We can say that. This would lead to Are We There Yeti? So in Are We There Yeti? The episode begins the day after the events of the previous episode, when the final four wake up to find themselves in the middle of the forest. Since Chris is busy hosting a throw unnamed awards show, Chef takes over the host for the day. He tells the campers that the challenge is to find their way out of the forest. Gwen says, "They left us in the woods? Alone? Again? With Heather and Noah? I'd rather go swimming in a shark-infested water, but these Trents here." After Chef gives them 2 bags of items they will need to survive the challenge. Trent and Noah are paired up, while Heather and Gwen are forced to be partners. The first team to touch the totem pole at the camp, which Chef reveals is north of their current location, wins invincibility. Trent acts to be a coward in front of Chef, hugging him before he leaves and begging him not to leave. However, this is a guise to steal the night goggles from Chef, which Heather is suspicious of. Heather says Duncan is a lot of things, but he's definitely not a chicken. He's up to something. I can tell. Well, it's Trent pretty much about this. And I'm not letting Noah give me getting eliminated. So I need him in the final two with me. Noah seems frightened, thinking that they would be eaten by a grizzly bear. But Chef warns them to worry about Sasquatch and Aqua instead. Chef then boards a helicopter and flies away back to camp, leaving the campers stranded in the wilderness. Okay. Heather says, okay, nothing would give me a greater pleasure than ditching the grim little butt in the middle of the nowhere, but this is the wild. I need someone to shove in front of me. If a bear comes by, then Duncan says, I gotta say, well, it's not Duncan, it'll be Trent saying this. I gotta say, I'm pretty jazzed to be paired with Noah. Come on. If you were a grizzly bear, who would you rather me be dipping in barbecue sauce or just picking up the short stack? Duncan and Noah quickly run into the woods to get away from the girls and confuse them. They check their supplies: a map, binoculars, bug spray, and a sleeping bag. Noah thinks it's all good, but notices there's no food, which upsets them greatly. But Trent calms, thinking they'll get out the woods. I'm sorry for confusing Trent with Duncan. It's weird. The boys quickly check the map, and Trent thinks they are going right, while Noah thinks that the camp is going the opposite direction. because Trent doesn't know this, but the map is actually upside down. Um, Meanwhile, the girls use a compass and head north. Heather thinks they should be fine if they are not killed by Sasquatch and Aqua. However, Gwen that thinks that it would be just a story that Chef made up to scare them. Heather says, I don't believe in Sasquatches. I mean, I don't think they would drop us here in the middle of the forest if they really was one. What if we died? Would they? As Heather and Gwen walk through the woods, Heather complains about the mosquitoes and one of them gets in their throats. Gwen says in confessional, okay, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I actually miss Chris. Anything is better than Chef. Psychopath. Why do camp cooks always look like escaped criminals? Heather says in confessional. Can you hear me, Chris? I hope you enjoy your little day off while we put up with your psychotic sidekick, who, by the way, wasn't even doing anything. He just ditched us in the woods. Meanwhile, back at camp, Chef seems relaxing and reading a French self-study book. Presumably, well, it's actually Noah's book. Forgetting about it's actually Noah's book and now he just uses it as his book. Who are still lost in the woods. Doug, Trent and Noah are climb a mountain, and Noah admits that Chef's story scared him. But Trent thinks the story is just made up. Then he quickly spots the girls with the binoculars and teases them for thinking they are going the wrong way. But Gwen says that the compass tells them to go north, where the camp is. Trent looks at the map and slaps his forehead when he realizes when it's actually upside down. And Noah says, I told you it was backwards! And Trent slaps his forehead when he realizes um, that Noah was actually right and they were going the wrong way. And have the map upside down. So he tells Noah that they have to jump and dive into the river. Noah says, after a big cliff dive on the first day of camp, I was king. I was the king of the world. I conquered my biggest fear. Well, it was actually. Oh well, I didn't really care. But I'm just want to be in the final three. So yeah, Noah tries to brush jump off, by he doesn't do daredevil dives anymore. So Trent pushes him off the cliff and jumps out right after. Back at camp, Chef goes through the campus belongings, finding Heather's makeup, Noah's books, Duncan's knife, and Gwen's diary. And at the river, Heather and Gwen know that despite the fact that they hate each other, they must work together as a team in order to win because they feel that the boys may be bonding. They finally agree and see them floating on a raft and getting ahead. Gwen and Heather team up to stop the boys from winning. Heather says, Ha! Using the river was brilliant. Well played. Noah and Trent to campus hide in the cave. Next, the two pairs set themselves in traps and snares along the way, stealing whatever they can from the opposing team. A whole montage happens, and at the end, I think it'd be Trent and Noah losing, and Heather and Gwen winning in Musi. So I think Gwen and Trent would vote. Would I think Gwen would vote off Noah, and Noah, and Heather told Trent to vote himself off for Gwen because and then Trent is eliminated because of this. Sorry, Trent, you had a good run. Best run you had. This would lead to I Triple Dog Dare You. So in I Triple Dog Dare You, the episode opens in the morning after Trent's elimination by Chef Hatchet, with the remaining three campers, Heather, Gwen, and Noah, being served an all-you-can-eat pancake breakfast, making several making video journals in the confessional inside the main lodge. Noah is unsatisfied with the little amount of pancakes he received, but he doesn't really care and just eats them. Okay. Gwen says a confessional, so I made it to the final three. Just goes to show how far a bad attitude can get you. Yeah, the money would be awesome, but you know that there's two villains with me, Noah and Heather. If I don't lose this challenge, or one of them quits, I can get myself into the final two. I'll most likely go with Noah. He's easy. He's easy to trick. He's actually not easy to trick, but he's very slow. He's a very weak person. I can get him across. Heather says confessional. Whatever. I know it can. I make it to the end. Big shocker. I just can't believe Weird Goth Girl made it. Luckily, I'm up with against the freak show and my best friend Noah. So may as well just make me the check. I mean, come on. I know my best friend Noah should deserve the million. He's got a lot of debts to complete, but I need the money more. I need my popularity. And then Noah says in confessional, I can't believe I made it to the final three. I'm sad that Owen isn't with me instead of Gwen. But like, what else is it gonna be? Him being scared by the hook, like the guy, or being eliminated because of a vote. After breakfast, the campus meet Chris, who has returned from hosting the award show, and Chef is dressed in a sheer pink dress, matching pink. Chef's hat at the outdoor auditorium. Chris tells them that the producers ran out of ideas for challenges, so they requested dares from the eliminated campers. He then shows a bottle attached to a wheel with pictures of all the contestants from it. We have DJ, Beth, Justin, Sadie, Cody, Harold, Ezekiel, Katie, Lindsay, Lashawna, Eva, Jeff, Tyler, Bridget, Owen, Tyler. Bridget, Owen, Duncan, Izzy, Courtney, and Trent. So they'll be facing off doing that. Okay. Gwen says, wow, a sudden death elimination. Good one. Chris says, okay, so here's the deal. Chef and I have a little side bet going. Whoever pukes the first has to pony up $100. When it's the first one to Gwen's up first and spins the wheel and lands on Duncan's there for her, which is to lick Chef's armpit. Chris asks if Gwen would take the dare or pass, and she passes it to Heather. Heather nervously moves to Chef's armpit, and Chef, well, pretty much, Heather tries to calm herself by trying to imagine that she is licking an ice cream cone, minus the bad odor. This doesn't help much, nor does mentioning the pit hairs in a mild lick, which sends Heather into convulsions, which tells Chef that he all nearly puked watching this, emphasizing nearly. Heather gets the turn and spins and gets Ezekiel, who dares to chew their own toenails. Slowly, she doesn't hesitate to challenge. She passes it to Gwen. With the dare, Gwen sits on the small chair in the center of the stage, takes off her boot and lifts off her foot so that Chef can clip a piece of her toenail off. She then hands her the clipping and puts it in her mouth while chewing. Heather reminds her that she has to do it slowly, and Gwen chewing slowly changes to force motion. Owen receives the first freebie. After Gwen completes her dare, Noah spins the bottle and gets Beth, who dares to rechew a piece of Harold's old gum. Noah doesn't like the dare, but he has to do it. Noah grosses out everyone, and Noah figures that the gum must be pretty special if Harold had been saving it, and starts chewing, describing it as full-bodied, a delicate fruity aroma with a hint of citrus, robust yet balanced, cemetery and crunchy center. The camera then zooms in onto Harold's picture, which shows him picking his nose, heavily implying that the crunchy center is a booger. While Chris and Shep almost throw up, Owen blows a big, large bubble that bursts and covers himself with a bubble residue. Chris awards him the first freebie, an optional tetanus shot, which Owen declines. Gwen says in the confessional, could be harder than I thought. So a bunch of dares happen, and then it goes to the shaving hair part to Heather, and she wants to pass it over to Noah, but Noah says, well, I need that $1 million. So I gave half my freebies to Gwen. Sorry, Heather, it has to be this way. Guess what? You've been betrayed. Heather is shocked, and she has to get her hair shaved. She denies the dare, but the same thing happens when her hair gets shaved off. Sadly. Sorry, Heather. So Heather is eliminated. And this leads to the very last episode. Really. And it's between Noah and Gwen. So, I'll let you choose who's going to be in the finale, or who will win each ending. I think Noah would win the first ending, because, yeah, plot armor, Owen wins first, and then Gwen gets second ending as usual. So, yeah. Who will be in total drama action? Of course, Noah and Gwen. Of course, Justin, because he's going to be the main villain. Then I have to choose some oddballs. So, of course, Heather and Trent are going to be in it. I think Duncan would still be in it. I think Courtney would be in it this time instead of LaShawna. Izzy's going to be in it. I think Owen's going to be in it, of course. Bridget and Jeff are in, of course. I think they actually put Tyler in this season. 12. And the final two choices, I think, would be Ezekiel for making it so far, and I think he would also choose Cody. No, I'm joking. Harold. It's gonna be Harold. So yeah, this is the cast, and if you want me to continue into action, please like down below, and this is the end of part 2. Thank you for listening to Total Drama Island. What if Noah and Owen were in Heather's Alliance instead of Beth? So, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time for another video. Most likely, will be Revenge of the Island. If not, if this gets a lot of views because of this. I'll see you guys later. Bye!